The rain-slicked streets of Southall gleamed under the sodium glow of street lamps, a mosaic of puddles reflecting the hurried footsteps of late-night shoppers and the occasional flicker of a passing bus. It was one of those evenings where the air hung heavy with the scent of curry from the row of Indian takeaways lining the high street, mingling with the faint, acrid tang of exhaust from delivery vans idling at curbside. Amid this ordinary urban hum, a young woman named Elena stepped out from the warmth of a corner cafe, her camera phone clutched firmly in one hand like a talisman. Elena wasn't your average vlogger chasing viral fame. She was an auditor, one of those digital sentinels who prowled public spaces with a lens pointed at authority, testing the boundaries of power one frame at a time. Her channel, Liberty Lens UK, had a modest following, enough to cover her rent in a cramped flat in Ealing. But tonight, she wasn't thinking about subscribers. She was here for the principle, the raw nerve of it all, the right to film in public, to hold the guardians of law accountable without fear of reprisal. Elena adjusted the angle of her phone, the red record light blinking steadily as she panned across the scene. Across the road, the Southall Green police station loomed, its brick facade unyielding, windows glowing with the sterile fluorescence of shift changes. A cluster of officers milled about the entrance, chatting in low tones, their high-vis jackets catching the light like fluorescent beacons. She had chosen this spot deliberately, not to provoke, but to observe. Auditing wasn't about confrontation. It was about visibility, about reminding those in blue that the streets belong to everyone. Testing public access and police interaction at Southall Green Station, she murmured into the mic, her voice steady, laced with the soft lilt of her Manchester roots. Date is October 3rd, 2025. Weather's rubbish, but rights don't care about the rain. She crossed the street slowly, boots splashing through shallow pools, keeping a respectful distance, about 15 feet from the station's entrance. The law was clear. In the UK, you could film police in public spaces without needing permission, as long as you weren't obstructing or harassing. Elena knew the Human Rights Act inside out, had it bookmarked on her phone alongside sections from the Police and Criminal Evidence Act. She wasn't naive. She'd seen the videos, the ones where auditors got shoved, detained, or worse. But knowledge was her shield. As she raised her phone again, framing a shot of two officers leaning against a patrol car, one of them, a burly sergeant with a salt and pepper beard, glanced her way. His eyes narrowed, the casual banter with his colleague dying mid-sentence. "Oi, what's this then?" the sergeant called out, his voice carrying over the patter of rain like a foghorn. He straightened up, hands on his hips, the weight of his radio crackling faintly. Elena kept filming, her heart quickening, but her expression neutral. "Just exercising my right to film in a public place, officer," she replied evenly, not lowering the camera. "No obstruction here." The sergeant exchanged a look with his partner, a younger constable who looked fresh out of Hendon, all wide eyes and uncertainty. "Public place or not, love, you're making folks uncomfortable. Put that away." He took a step forward, closing the gap to 10 feet, his boots thudding against the wet pavement. Elena felt the familiar prickle at the back of her neck, the shift from observation to engagement. She took a half step back, maintaining space. "I'm not breaking any laws. Section 35 of the Town and Country Planning Act allows filming on public highways. I'm happy to discuss, but I'm not stopping." The younger constable hovered behind, fiddling with his cap, but it was the sergeant who pressed on, his face hardening into that mask of authority Elena had seen 100 times in training videos. "Uncomfortable? You're loitering, that's what you are. Filming coppers like some sort of spy. What's your name?" He pulled out a notepad, pen poised, as if this were a formal stop. Elena's mind raced through protocols. They couldn't demand ID without reasonable suspicion of a crime. "My name's Elena Hargrove," she said clearly for the record. "And I'm not loitering. I'm standing on a public pavement. If you have grounds for a stop and search, you need to tell me the suspicion and the relevant legislation." The sergeant snorted, a sound like gravel under tires. "Grounds? You're the grounds, sweetheart. Filming us up close like that, it's harassment." He gestured vaguely at the station entrance, where a few more officers had paused their cigarettes to watch. Elena's phone captured it all. The growing cluster, the subtle shift in body language from curiosity to defensiveness. Harassment requires intent to cause alarm or distress, she countered, her voice gaining steel. I'm at a distance, not interacting aggressively. This is protected under Article 10 of the Human Rights Act, freedom of expression. By now, the rain had picked up, drumming against her hood, but the sergeant wasn't backing down. He advanced another step, now within arm's reach, his bulk casting a shadow over her small frame. Enough with the lawyer talk. Hand over the phone. It wasn't a request, it was a command, laced with a kind of casual menace that came from years of unchallenged power. Elena's pulse thundered in her ears. This was the line, the moment when observation tipped into violation. I don't consent to seizure of my property, she said firmly. You need a warrant or arrest to take this. The sergeant's hand shot out, faster than she expected, fingers closing around the edge of her phone. Don't tell me the law, Missy. I'm telling you. He yanked, the force jerking her arm forward, her shoulder protesting with a sharp twinge. Elena gasped but held on, the phone slipping slightly in the wet grip. Assault, she shouted, the word echoing off the brick walls. You're assaulting me for filming in public. This is battery under common law. The camera mercifully stayed upright, capturing the sergeant's red-faced grimace, the way his fingers dug into the plastic case. The younger constable stepped in now, hands raised placatingly. Sarge, maybe ease up. She's just filming. But the sergeant ignored him, twisting harder. Let go, or I'll add resisting to the list. Elena's mind flashed to her emergency protocol. De-escalate, document, call for help. She released the phone just enough to avoid injury, but as it came free, the sergeant held it aloft triumphantly, like a trophy. There we go. Now, you're coming inside for a chat. He pocketed the device, his other hand clamping onto her upper arm, fingers like vices. Panic flickered, but Elena channeled it into clarity. You're detaining me without telling me the reason or the power you're using. That's unlawful under PACE Code A. She twisted slightly, not to break free, but to create space, her free hand fumbling for her pocket. The station entrance loomed closer, officers parting like a blue sea to let them through. Inside, the lobby smelled of stale coffee and disinfectant, fluorescent lights buzzing overhead. The sergeant marched her to a waiting area, a row of hard plastic chairs bolted to the floor, his grip unyielding. Sit, he barked, releasing her arm with a shove that sent her stumbling into the seat. Elena rubbed her shoulder, the camera's absence a void in her hand. But she had backups, her watch had a voice recorder, and the stream had auto-uploaded to her cloud. I want my solicitor, she demanded, voice echoing in the empty space. And my phone back. This is false imprisonment. The sergeant loomed over her, notepad out again. Solicitor? For what? A bit of filming. You're nicked for obstruction and theft of police time. He scribbled furiously, but his eyes darted to the door where the younger constable hovered, whispering into his radio. Minutes stretched like taffy, the rain lashing the windows in sheets. Elena sat straight-backed, reciting rights under her breath for the recorder. I do not consent to searches. I require a caution and legal advice. The sergeant paced, muttering about bloody YouTube warriors, his frustration boiling over into a call to his superior. Gov, we've got an auditor in custody. Grabbed her phone. Yeah, she was right up in our grills. The door to the back offices swung open, admitting a woman in inspector stripes, her uniform crisp despite the hour. Inspector Rachel Thorne, mid-40s, with a no-nonsense bob and eyes that could cut glass. She'd seen it all in her 20 years on the Met. Riots, knife crime, the endless churn of paperwork. But auditors were a new breed of headache, imported from American feeds and amplified by social media. What's the situation, Bill? She asked the sergeant, her voice clipped as she eyed Elena. The sergeant, Bill Hargreaves, straightened, handing over the phone like contraband. Caught her filming the lads outside. Gov. Aggressive type, quoting law left and right. Nicked her for obstruction. Thorne took the phone, turning it over in her hands, then fixed her gaze on Elena. Mississippi. Hargrove, is it? Care to explain why you're targeting my station? Elena met her eyes, unflinching. Not targeting, auditing public police activity. Your officer assaulted me and seized my property without cause. I'd like it returned, along with my solicitor. Thorne sighed, a sound heavy with the weight of bureaucracy. She unlocked the phone. Elena hadn't set a passcode for just this reason, and scrolled through the footage. The lobby fell silent save for the tick of a wall clock and the distant murmur of radios. As the video played, Thorne's expression shifted from skepticism to something sharper, disquiet. There it was, Bill's hand lunging, Elena's cry, the shove. No reasonable suspicion voiced, no caution given. "Bill," Thorne said quietly, pausing the clip. "Did you read the caution?" Hargreaves shifted, boots scuffing the linoleum. "Well, Gov, it was ongoing." "Ongoing what?" "She was on public property." Thorne's voice rose a notch, drawing glances from the desk sergeant. She handed the phone back to Elena with a nod. "Miss Hargrove, you're free to go. Apologies for the overzealousness." But Elena wasn't done. Her fingers flew across the screen, dialing the number she'd memorized. The duty solicitor line for the Metropolitan Police area. "No, Inspector. This was unlawful detention and assault. I'm calling my lawyer now." The line connected on the third ring, a calm voice answering. "Legal aid solicitors, how can I assist?" Elena spoke rapidly, recounting the events, the video evidence uploading in the background. Thorne watched, arms crossed, while Hargreaves deflated like a punctured tire. "Gov," she was asking for it, filming like that. "Bill, shut it," Thorne snapped, her cheeks flushing. She pulled him aside, voice low but fierce. "You just assaulted a civilian on camera. That's misconduct minimum. Internal affairs will have a field day." Hargreaves's face paled. "But the policy says de-escalate, not escalate. You know damn well about auditors. Training last month, remember? Engage politely, no seizures without warrant." Thorne rubbed her temple, the headache blooming. She defended her team before, smoothed over rough edges with complaints desks. But this was sloppy, viral sloppy. Already, Elena's voice carried snippets of legalese into the phone. Yes, battery and false imprisonment. Under the Criminal Justice and Public Order Act. The lobby door banged open again, admitting a superintendent, Thorne's boss, a lanky man named Patel with a mustache like a broom bristle. He'd been roused by the radio chatter, the kind that screamed potential lawsuit. "Rachel, what's this about an auditor?" His eyes flicked to Elena, who was now standing, phone on speaker for transparency. The solicitor's voice crackled. "Miss Hargrove, that's a clear violation. We'll file a formal complaint and seek compensation. Can you email the footage?" Patel took in the scene, Hargreaves looking like a schoolboy caught cheating. Thorne's tight-lipped grimace, Elena's composed defiance. "Sergeant Hargreaves," he said, voice thunderous in the confined space. "Explain yourself." Hargreaves stammered through it. The filming, the loitering, the grab, each word digging the hole deeper. Patel's mustache twitched. "You seized private property without authorization? On video?" He turned to Thorne. "Inspector, why wasn't this shut down?" Thorne swallowed hard, the embarrassment coiling in her gut like bad curry. She'd been the one to sign off on Hargreaves's last performance review, praising his initiative. Now it looked like negligence on her watch. "Sir, it escalated quickly. I was en route." But Patel wasn't buying. "Quickly? Or predictably? We've had the memo on these auditors. Film. Ignore. Move on. Not this Keystone Cops rubbish." Elena, meanwhile, ended the call with her solicitor. Yes, formal letter by morning, and slipped her phone into her pocket. The rain had eased outside, leaving a dripping quiet. "Officers, I'll be filing with the IOPC," she said, addressing the room. "Independent Office for Police Conduct. This isn't personal, it's accountability." Hargreaves muttered something under his breath, but Patel shot him a look that could curdle milk. "Out. Desk duty till further notice." As Elena turned to leave, Thorne caught her arm, gently this time. Miss Hargrove, off the record. You're right. He overstepped. We'll investigate internally. Elena nodded, a flicker of empathy crossing her face. These weren't monsters. They were humans in a system stretched thin. I know, but the video doesn't lie. Make it right. She stepped back into the night, the station door clicking shut behind her. The high street felt different now, empowered, somehow. Her phone buzzed, upload complete, first comments rolling in. Bad cop busted, one read. Another, UK needs more Elenas. But as she walked toward the tube, the adrenaline crashed, leaving her shoulder aching. Her mind replaying the grab, the shove. It wasn't victory, it was vigilance. Back inside, the recriminations unfolded like a slow-motion car crash. Hargreaves slumped at his desk, staring at the blotter as if it held the secrets to undoing the night. "Gov, I was just doing my job," he protested when Thorne approached. She shook her head, the weight of command pressing down. "Your job is to protect, not intimidate. Now look, lawyers on speed dial, and the super breathing down my neck." Patel had already called in the force's legal team, a trio of suits who arrived in a flurry of clipboards and stern whispers. Potential civil claim, one murmured to Patel. Assault, unlawful detention, could run to 20 grand easy. Thorne felt the heat of it, the embarrassment radiating from her like a fever. She'd mentored Hargreaves, covered for his rough edges, told herself it was old-school policing in a woke world. But tonight, her force, her team, had exposed her. The younger constable, witness to it all, had been pulled aside for a statement, his wide eyes now shadowed with regret. "I tried to stop him, Inspector," he said. Thorne patted his shoulder. "I know, lad. Write it up honest." Word spread through the station like wildfire through dry grass. The night shift buzzed with it, whispers in the break room, sidelong glances at Hargreaves's empty chair. Heard he grabbed her phone like it was a pint. One PC chuckled, then trailed off under Thorne's glare. By morning, the video was online, racking views, comments dissecting every frame. Classic met overreach. Where's the body cam footage? The force's PR machine word to life, drafting a statement. We take all complaints seriously. But it rang hollow, a bandage on a bullet wound. Hargreaves, suspended pending review, drove home in silence, the wipers slapping rhythmically against the windscreen. His wife greeted him with tea and questions, but he waved her off, sinking into the sofa. The grab replayed in his mind, not as heroism, but as a mistake, born of frustration with these phone-wielding pests. He joined the job to catch villains, not debate rights with civilians. Yet here he was, one viral clip from infamy. Thorne, meanwhile, faced the morning briefing with Patel at her elbow. "Shape up the team, Rachel," he said. "More training on auditors, no excuses." She nodded, the sting of embarrassment fueling resolve. Her force wasn't rotten, just ragged at the edges. Elena's audit had peeled back the veneer, forcing a reckoning. Days blurred into a cascade of paperwork. Elena's solicitor's letter arrived crisp and damning, citing precedents from Rice v. Connolly to the EC char. The IOPC logged the complaint, scheduling interviews. Hargreaves's union rep advised silence, but guilt gnawed. He watched the video himself that night, seeing not a threat, but a woman standing her ground. "Bloody hell," he muttered, deleting the tab. Elena, back in her flat, edited the footage into a 10-minute masterpiece. Calm narration over raw clips, ending with a call to action. Know your rights. Film the power. Views climbed to 50,000, donations trickling in for legal fees. But sleep came fitful, haunted by the sergeant's grip. Auditing was her crusade, but crusades left bruises. In the end, the incident rippled outward, a pebble in the pond of public trust. Hargreaves got a formal warning, sensitivity training, a demotion to traffic. Thorne pushed for better protocols, her embarrassment transmuted into reform. Elena's channel grew, a beacon for the wary. And on the rain-washed streets of Southall, the cameras kept rolling, silent witnesses to the dance of power and principle, where one violation could topple the mighty, if only the light shone true. Weeks later, Elena returned to Southall Green, phone in hand. No confrontation this time, just a nod from a passing PC, a mutual acknowledgement. The force had learned, or at least pretended to. Her force, the collective weight of citizens like her, had embarrassed the blue line into better. It wasn't justice, not fully, but it was progress, one frame at a time.